Aliens. Aliens have made multiple appearances and are a recurring theme in the GTA storyline, appearing in Michael's grassroots Strangers and Freaks missions, as well as the mission Did Somebody Say Yoga? There is also a frozen alien Easter egg in North Yankton, which was one of the earliest Easter eggs discovered when GTA 5 first released. Aliens seem to heavily relate to Michael due to some of Michael's missions revolving around them, which we'll get into for the Mount Chiliad mystery. However, it could be linked thematically to Michael's story, in which he experiences that alienation from his family, driving him to do more and more obscure things, like random side quests for the Epsilon program. Ultimately, Rockstar uses the alien appearances to explore their recurring themes of the supernatural, science fiction, and conspiracy, perhaps even mirroring some extremes we see in contemporary Hollywood. UFOs. GTA 5 features 3 active UFOs that can be seen in the game once the player attains 100% story mode completion. They appear above Fort St. Kudo, the Beam Me Up or Silent Probe Mountain, and of course Mount Chiliad. Interestingly, the Mount Chiliad and Silent Probe Mountain UFOs bear the FIB logo, while the one above Fort St. Kudo does not. This detail suggests that these crafts may not be piloted by extraterrestrials at all, but are instead advanced government projects, hinting at a deeper conspiracy involving the FIB and their secret operations in the GTA 5 universe. Furthermore, there is a crashed FIB UFO at the bottom of the ocean, in the north of the map, which can be reached by submarine. This one does not require 100% completion to see, however. Again, this was probably Rockstar's way of adding in some conspiratory elements into the game, allowing them to lean more into the superficial themes while not breaking away from the realism and grounded nature of the game, and probably does not lead to some overarching bigger mystery that is yet to be solved. Or perhaps it does. Who killed Leonora Johnson? Leonora Johnson is an in-universe character that was brutally unalived and mutilated. She doesn't appear in the game itself, but rather is used as a bit of lore and world building, and her unalivement remains an unsolved mystery until the events of GTA 5. On this in-game website, www.whokilledleonorajohnson.com, you can see a bit more context into the case, as well as pictures of the body, which I cannot show you because I do not want to get demonetized. Now, the thing about this mystery is that it actually ties into the main game story. It actually has an optional conclusive ending, in which if the player collects all 50 letter scraps, a Strangers and Freaks mission will appear in the hills where you can confront the man who unalived Leonora Johnson, Peter Dreyfus, and serve some sweet vigilantism. The character of Leonora Johnson seems to actually be based on a real unsolved case that happened in 1947 in Los Angeles, dubbed the Black Dahlia case. The real-life victim, Elizabeth Short, was only 22. I believe this is Rockstar's way of not only referencing a real-life event to tie more parallels between the real world and the parody world of GTA, but also, at a deeper level, pay homage to the real-life victims of these cold-blooded crimes. A lot of the injuries and mutilation described on Leonora Johnson's body aligns with a handful of real-life cases, perhaps serving as a stark reminder of how tragic and unmerciful life can be. Rest in peace to all victims of violence. May their stories, both real and fictional, remind us of the importance of compassion, justice, and never forgetting those whose lives were tragically cut short. The Ghost of Mount Gordo. The Ghost of Mount Gordo is an Easter egg that appears in Mount Gordo, at this specific location, around times 11 PM to midnight, in-game. The ghost, which looks like this up close, is Jolene Cranley Evans' ghost, which is the deceased wife of Jock Cranley, a media personality who makes various appearances throughout the game in websites, radios, and of course television. Jock Cranley was a famous stunt double in the 1980s. He grew up in Blaine County and lived there with his wife Jolene during the 1970s. His dream, to become a Vinewood stuntman, was at the disapproval of Jolene Cranley Evans, who objected to them moving out to Los Santos. So, while on a hike on Mount Gordo, Jock Cranley pushed her off the side of the cliff, the same place where her ghost can be seen, and she was unalived. Jock was taken into custody, but was immediately released without charge, because there was not enough evidence to prove that he was responsible for her end. The full article about her unaliving can be found on an in-game newspaper article from the Sonora Beach newspaper. The ghost remains there to this day, haunting unknowing GTA players. Right where the ghost is positioned, there is blood writing on the rock, which spells out Jock, which is, of course, her husband. Just below the cliff, there is also a base camp spot, where the player can hear, presumably, Jolene's screams. Unfortunately though, I cut the recording just before it played, so yeah guys, you don't get to hear it. Where is Niko Bellic? Niko Bellic, the protagonist of Grand Theft Auto 4, is referenced a few times in GTA 5. This includes a subtle nod to him from Lester when planning the Evangelica heist, Patrick McCreary, one of the side characters in GTA 4 who was also close with Niko, and also in Michael's house, where Jimmy can sometimes be seen looking at Niko Bellic's Life Invader profile. Also, at this location, there is a house with a wanted poster which clearly shows Niko Bellic. While the fate of Niko Bellic is truly unknown, the real-life controversy surrounding his voice actor and Rockstar Games makes it highly unlikely that we will ever see him return in a real cameo. The drama surrounding Michael Hollick, who plays Niko Bellic in GTA 4, and Rockstar Games seems to be mostly due to his underpayment. Other actors who have also played in previous GTA protagonists, such as Young Melee and Ray Liotta, have also been vocal about this issue. In-game, if you go to the bar where Trevor first meets the Chinese, you can find bloody footprints and a jacket that closely resembles the one Niko wears. So perhaps Niko had found his way into Blaine County after his stint in Liberty City and wandered into the wrong bar where he took his final breaths. Or he is still out there. Unfortunately for us fans, we will probably never get an official answer. Chiliad Mystery. Now, this was the one that most of you would have been waiting for. The Mount Chiliad mural, to this day, is still one of the biggest mysteries in gaming. Up on Mount Chiliad, inside the cable car exit port, you can see a large mural depicting Mount Chiliad and a few symbols. This created one of the biggest stirs in gaming history, and to this day remains a highly debated and scrutinized mystery. The YouTuber Strange Man made an incredible video on the Mount Chiliad mystery, which I believe to this day is the most complete, accurate take on the mural. While I will touch on it briefly, I highly recommend checking out his video as it is very high quality and goes much further in depth. Essentially, it is thought that the Chiliad mystery had been solved this whole time, with the three symbols, the egg, jetpack, and UFO, resembling each of the protagonists. The egg represents Franklin, due to him being relatively new to the game and being put into this new world of seasoned criminals thanks to Michael. Michael is represented by the UFO, which, as touched on before, links deeply to Michael's symbolism of aliens and alienation from his family. And Trevor is represented by the jetpack, because he used to be a pilot in the army before being discharged. The UFO on top of the mountain, paired with the writing, "Come back here when your story is complete," suggests that this mural was simply a way to tell the player how to activate the UFO that appears above Mount Chiliad. There are also lightning bolts on the mural to symbolize the only weather condition where the UFO will spawn, that being in stormy or rainy weather. So yeah, this whole time while we were overcomplicating the mural, and still to this day do continue to do so, I believe this is the most accurate version of the theory. The Infinity Killer. Now this is one of the more known mysteries in GTA. Essentially, the devs decided to add a fun little mystery around the Sandy Shores and Blaine County area. This one was also one of the first Easter eggs / mysteries to be discovered and fully solved. If you go to this location, you will find a newspaper clipping, which, once zoomed in on, reads the following. Suspected killer Merle Abrahams dies in prison. Merle Abrahams, the suspected Infinity Killer, passed away last night in Bolingbroke Penitentiary while awaiting trial for abduction and torture. Abrahams, 57, was suspected to be responsible for the Infinity Murders, a series of disappearances that happened 5 years ago. Police believe the 8 victims, who were all single young men, while jogging, were all murdered by the same person who had circumstantial evidence linking Mr. Abrahams to the victims. No bodies were ever found, and Abrahams never confessed, although he did admit to a weird obsession with the number 8. There are also more writings around the buildings in Sandy Shores, such as here. There's also a creepy poem written on these rocks here. So now, with the information from the newspaper article, this points us to the prison. If you go into the prison, you will find more clues as to where the bodies are buried. The writing on the wall includes a rough outline of the northern tip of Paleto Bay. And you guessed it, if we go to the northern tip of Paleto Bay, here we can find all 8 bodies. Vinewood Murder Mystery. The Vinewood Murder Mystery was actually a new addition to the next-gen consoles and PC edition, meaning it wasn't actually in the game when it was initially released in 2013. This mystery revolves around the film industry and actually ties into a few in-game story characters. This mystery, like the Infinity Killer and the Leonora Johnson case, is also solvable and has a unique reward for doing so. The character must discover each of the following 4 clues. Firstly, as Michael, you must locate 4 different cryptic messages carved on the walls of various buildings in Los Santos. Once the player approaches the message, a background sound will indicate that the message has been discovered. This message hints to the next part of the mystery, in which, if you go to this location just besides Fort Zancudo, you'll find the body of Fred Quincy's assistant, with her hands tied behind her back and her feet stuck in concrete, as well as a bag placed over her head. For this cryptic message, this hints to us to Vinewood Studios, where we can enter Solomon Richards' office, who is David Richards' son. Note that you will have to have completed the mission Meltdown to access Solomon Richards' office. In this letter, Fred Quincy, who was the founder of Fred's Picture Film Studios, confessed that he unalived an associate named Isaac, and that his body can be found in the abandoned mine shaft. This letter also implies that the woman we found earlier was indeed his secretary, and he had to kill her off due to her knowing too much. Finally, you can make your way to this abandoned mine shaft and destroy the barricade using explosives. From there, you can find Isaac's body. Solving this mystery will reward you with unlocking Isaac as a contact for all 3 protagonists. When his contact is run, it will apply a noir filter over the game. You can either choose to return to Isaac's body to enable these 2 filters, or ring him. So yeah, this was a really cool addition to the game, and also added a bit of lore and world building. There are so many mysteries in GTA 5, so this is really just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to see part 2, where I'll cover some more mysteries, please like and subscribe, so you can be notified once I release that. I also make GTA 5 single player mods, so if that is something that interests you, please check out my free Patreon and other videos. Thank you again for watching.